live.
I'm gonna walk out here. Look at that.
Merry Christmas, our
No
friends from
headphones.
Five Regions. We have Ethan Skolnick in the American Airlines Arena, so he can listen to us or hear us. We are here for you guys. Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us. Manny, Jonathan, Brady, Ethan, Ricky. We're going to talk a little bit about the Miami Heat. Of course, we have Ethan Skolnick there at the arena, empty and everything. So, how are you guys? Welcome and Merry Christmas. Manny, you can talk. Start talking.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas, guys.
Hey, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
no,
Let me start talking before I lose the total feed here. Can you hear me?
go
Yes,
ahead. Go ahead, Ethan.
You
You're
can hear me.
live.
All right.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm on their wireless. I don't know if their wireless is still working. There's no people here.
you're live.
Anyway, Ethan
Go.
Skolnick here at American Airlines Arena. I got here from Los Angeles in 27 minutes. So this is a little bit different than the usual. Just was out of my seat. There's just a handful of media that are going to be here today. Alex Toledo will be here with me. He'll probably join on the post-game shows as well. It's very different. No locker room access. Very different from a typical Christmas Day game. Nobody in the parking lots. Pretty much nobody here. Let's get to everybody else who's here. Let me set the table here a little bit. Got Alejandro, our producer. Manny, our other producer. Jonathan, you can follow him at Three-Piece Combo. Brady Hawk at Brady Hawk 305. And at Ricky J. Mark. We put up the podcast about kind of what the Heat need to do differently today. Let me just ask you guys, I'll throw this out you. If you were Eric Spoelstra against this lineup, you got Adams, Zion, and Ingram in the front court, would you pull Mo Harkless, play someone like Myers Leonard or Precious Atchewell? I'll start with you, Brady.
Yeah, I said that on Twitter yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if Myers starts today. I don't think it's the best. Mo Harkless doesn't do good against big fours, and Zion isn't even a big four. He's like beyond a big four. He's on another level. So I don't think that's the smartest move. And Spo's going to keep adjusting the lineup and throw different things out. And if there was going to be a game for him to adjust the starting lineup, it'd be this one. So I think it makes sense to throw Myers out there early on Adams. And I don't think you want Bam on Adams early anyways, for foul trouble reasons, stuff like that. So I think it makes sense to kind of space the floor even offensively, throw Myers out there and make Adams kind of draw out the paint.
Do any of you guys disagree? Ricky, I'll go to you. I mean, you want to keep some continuity in your starting lineup and not being jerking around every game. So I tend to think Spo's probably going to stay with what he has. Doubters be damned. How do you think he goes?
Well, I think I'm with Brady. I think they're definitely gonna switch up the starting lineup today. I believe it's Pat Riley that always said that the first 20 games of the season are when you figure out who you can trust. We'll probably have a 9 or 10 man rotation at some point that will be set in stone by March or April. But for now, I could definitely see someone like Myers or Kelly O, who's I think a little bit more trustworthy from behind the arc in order to stretch out the defense. It's just right now with Mo Harkless, I can't see him dealing with either Steven Adams or Zion. That's just barbecue chicken, as Shaq would say. I wouldn't do it.
One of the things, Jonathan, that was a little bit different in this last game was we saw a lot of the two big lineups. Even though Harkless started, a lot of Bam with Kelly, which was real successful 2 years ago, but they didn't go to it a lot today. I mean, is it possible you start Kelly? We haven't talked about that very much, and bring Myers off the bench.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, I don't think we've seen it from Spo before where we've brought Kelly into the starting lineup, maybe outside of the times that we've had injury issues. But I can see that happening. But I do think it's more likely that we will start Myers, and we'll see a lot of, like you said, the two big lineups where we'll see maybe Myers and Bam together, and then we'll see Kelly and Precious together. So you'll have two guys that are at least big enough to handle, with Harkless, that he'll pick up foul trouble early. He got dominated in that preseason game against Zion, and of course it's preseason, but it just showed that he's unable to handle that. So I think Kelly is a good option to start at center, but it's still more likely that we see Myers.
All right, now, I want to show you guys something, and then I'm going to go and let you guys kind of handle the show. But just so you get a sense of what the arena is like here on a game with no fans. I mean, I was in the bubble, but this is even weirder because I'm used to being here where you can't walk in the corridors and everybody's here until the second quarter, right? Waiting on line for, one of those. So here, I was going to show you what it looks like in here without it. And obviously Alex was here the other night, and then I'll let you guys get back to the analysis. But
Whoa.
I can be there.
So totally tarped up everywhere. You got the culture in the back, of course. You know how I love that. Culture in the back. Right now, obviously, the Pelicans are getting a little bit of work. Scorer's table down there. And you can see the little Gatorade buckets down there. This is the some scouts who will be down there on the floor. I'm really bad at this. So there you go. And then this is the media seating. So typically we would be over there. We've got a few over there, but they got a lot up there. For those who are looking for it, I'll show you this. Eastern Conference champions up there. So that's what the arena looks like. I'm sure I screwed that whole thing up. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. And Alex and I will be back on the post-game show when it's not quite so loud. So have a good one, everybody.
Thank you, Ethan. Enjoy the game. All right, let's read some of the comments here, and we can continue talking.
I've got a copyright strike there.
Yeah, we can cut it out later. So let's go Heat. From our friends, he said, "Let's go Heat." Preston, thank you, Preston. Bench Mo, start Precious. Would you guys start Precious so early in the season? What do you guys think?
Nah, you can't do that.
And you can't do that against Zion and company.
Right.
Right now.
not yet.
Him off the bench to create another body, right? But to me, the most important thing is today those turnovers. Let's see these guys, Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler, just take care more of the basketball, because that to me right there, I guess, was the main key on why, in the fourth quarter when you needed those, extra baskets per se, right? Because you gave up so many in the first half that turned into points for the Magic. That's to me where in the fourth quarter that could have made a difference. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
The reason you're not playing Bam and Precious together, and it's the reason that they drafted Precious, is that Precious reiterates a lot of the things that Bam does. That's why they wanted him. They want him to kind of come in when Bam exits the floor, that he can, do the things that he does off the pick and roll, screen setting, and all those types of things, defense versatility. So that's the way they're trying to use them. I think a lot of people are interested to see what they look like together on the floor. They got on the floor for like 10 seconds at the end of like one of the quarters on the first game of the season. But that's kind of why they're doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, he did start Tyler Hero last season, a couple of games before he went to the bench. So he does believe in young guys and gives them the chance. So let's keep going. Our friend Black Chicken A say, "Let's go Heat. Let's go. Merry Christmas, Heat Nation." Thank you, Clarence. He's probably French, right, Ricky? How do you say Merry Christmas in French, Ricky?
Joyeux Noël.
Joyeux Noël.
Joyeux Noël. Yep.
Oh, smooth.
There you go.
I know, right? Everything
Something like
is
that.
smooth. You can say anything and it'll be smooth.
Allez les Bleus.
Almost.
A little blue. All right.
Close.
Any trade news? Nope. Tyler out. Harden is coming. No. Stop. All right. KZ, 25 points. All right. How do you use KZ today? There's been a lot of talk about this, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. How do you use KZ tonight?
Well,
Right.
I think as the resident KZ zealot in this network, I think he has a legitimate chance to actually get some good minutes against Brandon Ingram, for example, especially if we want to preserve Jimmy on defense and we want to keep some of the other guys out of trouble. I think KZ's length is something that really intrigues me. Based on what we saw against Toronto, this guy, I don't know if it's the defensive stance or whatever, but there's something about the way he commits to defense that, and I know I was joking about the whole Pippen comparisons and everything, but I do see a lot of Pippen in him on defense in terms of his versatility. So I think that could be very helpful. I wouldn't put him on Zion, though. I think he's a little too slight of build for that. But I think this could be an opportunity for him to get some early chances this season.
Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think between him and I think this is where Mo Harkless has a little bit more of a role. Last game, we saw him a little bit more working on the perimeter on the defensive end, and we saw Jimmy on the floor. So I can see Mo Harkless and KZ sharing that load, trying to take care of Brandon Ingram, like Ricky said, just to save Jimmy.
Brady, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, well, I think, like you said about Jimmy, I think it's just the reason why he has a chance of playing is it just depends on how his ankle feels. Spoelstra said he's ready to go, but it's probably swelled up. Depending on how he feels at the beginning of this game, he might take some minutes off, maybe in the second quarter, third quarter, and you may see some spurts of KZ Okpala. I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. We have here another message says, "Ethan, please leave the arena." Well, has to go to some of the games. We can't just keep Ethan in his house now. We tried the first game with in the preseason with Alex. We'll see if maybe in 2021 we can reverse that jinx that Ethan has been bringing for the games. So play Precious. Can someone besides Ethan run the show? We can try, Christopher. We can try.
He's not here right now, so
Yeah,
Christopher Jenkins, I think you got what you wanted, right?
yeah, I guess. So Felix,
Merry
Adam,
Christmas.
good. Merry Christmas to all of you. Go back to last year's starting lineup. So would you go back at some point of the season if I don't know the Heat starts 0-5? Would you go back to your All-Star lineup?
No, you keep it and you work through
No.
the kinks. You work through the kinks. You know what I mean? This is part of the growing process. You still have a young roster, no matter how experienced they are. There's still a bunch of young guys that need to take time to gel together. So even if we start 0-5, first of all, we had a really short off season, and then second of all, we're a team that's working as a playoff team. So we're just going to take some games. We're going to have some time to figure it out, but we're going to figure it out towards the end of the season and playoffs when it really counts.
All right.
Yeah, honestly, I think it depends on Kendrick Nunn's rhythm, really, because I know he got hurt and then he caught COVID, and we all know what COVID has shown itself to do to athletes. That throws your balance off like crazy. So, I mean, if he gets his rhythm back and then he catches fire again, I could see us potentially going back to that lineup, because if we're being fair, it did work for us quite a bit last season.
Yeah.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think if if Kendrick Nunn's able to regain that form, he's helpful for us. He kind of recreates that dynamic that we saw with Dion Waiters and Goran Dragic a few seasons ago, except a little younger and better, one would argue. So we'll see. I mean, it depends.
Yeah, if he hits his first couple of shots, I mean, we talked about it last game in the post game. After he blew that layup, you just saw him just sink. And with Kendrick, it's really important for him to have his confidence, because that's where his jumper is. Because you'll see he'll be short on so many of his jumpers, especially after he came off of injury. So it'd be interesting to see if he's able to really get through, when the defense plays drop and he has that little pull up where he's so good at, and he was able to hit all so well early last season. If he's able to hit a couple early pull ups, get to the rim like he does, he did some crazy dunks. I think the game last year against JaVale McGee, he dunked almost on McGee on Christmas Day. So I think Kendrick, if he can get it going, it'd be nice to see him have that little bit spark plug. Like you said, he reminds you a little bit of Dion Waiters, where he just does things that are really unique to the team. Nobody else really does what he does on this team. And if he does it, it puts this team on another level.
Yeah, Dion Waiters was very unique. You're right. Okay, we'll keep reading your messages here. Merry Christmas. Thank you, guys. Thank you to all of you that are joining us today for this early game. I think this is the earliest we've done this since we started. Star Struss, New Orleans. Is Jimmy playing today? He should be playing today. Yes.
Yes.
We don't have the start lineup yet. We'll see if the Miami Heat puts it up before we end this stream. Precious reminds me a lot of Montrezl Harrell. Can you guys see this comparison?
Why? Because of the hair? I mean,
yeah, right. I wasn't really sure about the comparison outside of the looks. I kind of felt like it was the Tyler Hero, JJ Redick comparison, where they just kind of look alike.
And Brady.
And Brady.
So Heat in 5. How are they going to guard Ingram and Zion Adams combination? What do you guys think? What the defensive plan should be for these three guys?
Well, it's just comes down to if they insert, Myers and other, bigs, they're going to have to, like I mentioned, Bam is not going to be banging around with Adams. That's not what they're going to want to do earlier in the game. So throwing a guy that they can, throw at him, and then I guess Bam would be on Zion. And then you have, Jimmy on Brandon Ingram. And then you live with the rest. That's basically what you're going to have to do. And then KZ, like you mentioned before, could sub in for a guy like Jimmy to guard Ingram. Precious can guard a guy like Zion if he's inserted in. Not that he's going to be able to at a high level, but contain him as much as he can. So I think they're going to make it an emphasis. All the players we're talking about it to just fix up all the defensive issues they had in that last game. So I think they're going to be prepared and throw out different lineups to kind of counter. They played them in the preseason, and we know what Spo can do after watching a team. Even though it's preseason, you still see some things that you like. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some things that he kind of counters from that first preseason game.
Right. So we have some more comments here. Hitting 1. He don't have much energy in games. Well, I don't agree with you there, Kevin. It's just one game. We have to be patient. We still don't have a true point guard in the starting lineup, which is maybe why we had so many turnovers. Yes, we saw Tyler Hero struggling in the beginning of the last game. Do you guys think Spoelstra goes back to that plan and we just keep going?
Well, I remember I was actually having a conversation with a couple friends of mine just the other day about this very same issue. I don't remember the last time the Heat have had a pure point guard, except since LeBron. I really don't, because Goran plays point guard, but he's honestly hybrid too in many
Yeah,
ways, right?
he used to, yeah.
And granted, we didn't have a pure point guard last year, and that was because of the way we played. It was much more, it was much more, five men moving the ball around and everything like that. We had our rhythm,
Positionless.
Yes, exactly. Now, can we get a pure point guard between now and tip off? Probably not. Is Tyler Hero going to be the person we need running the point for the time being? Definitely. Well, probably not. Based on what we saw last time, he was a little flustered and he made a lot of silly turnovers. That said, I feel like he's much better when he's being given the ball to shoot and score and attack, as opposed to finding things for other people. That's something, of course, that's going to be addressed, I hope, down the line. But based on who we have on this roster, Jimmy, KZ, a little bit of Bam, some Kelly O. Once we get those guys really back in the swing of things, I think our turnover problems are going to be a lot less problematic moving forward.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think during the bubble last season, the first time we started Hero, we started him at point, and he actually had a really good game. And so I do think it's something that can work really well, because since he has such a good shooting touch, and teams have to play him so hard and have to pay so much attention to him, if he's able to develop setting up other people, then he'll be able to find a shot easier anyways, because people are going to have to think about the dual threat at that time. So, Hero isn't a pure point guard, but I think it's a good, interesting prospect to use at the point guard position, just because he's such a good tool from the three-point line and creating his own offense and having those really good touches at the rim. So it's going to be fun to see if he's able to develop to somebody who can average 5 or 6 a game, which will just open up more offense to him overall.
Yeah, Spoelstra had an interesting comment yesterday. He said, like, when they asked him about, Hero with the point guard position, he was like, Bam and Jimmy are the primary playmakers, ball handlers on this team. So that's kind of the way they're going to go. And something I've mentioned is, Hero, you could talk about him being a good passer and an improving ball handler, but he's always going to be a scorer first. That's what he is. He's a scorer. The passing, comes along after he begins to score. So I think, he's going to continue to, I think we're going to see him a little bit more off ball at times today to get his, shot going, get his scoring going. And then in the second quarter or third quarter, you're going to see him with the ball in his hands a lot more after a team kind of focuses on him, and then he begins to show his passing abilities.
It just also, guys, it feels like if Nunn can just become back to his regular self, right? That if he just becomes that guy that we saw at the beginning part of last season, it kind of solves that issue. But unfortunately, we can't just rely on Nunn to come out of it. Listen, we know that things happen, COVID, personal issues, we all go through it. But at some point, Spo and the Heat just have to realize that, listen, we've given this young man every opportunity, even more, for him to come out of it. And if it still doesn't produce, I mean, listen, why not give Tyler that opportunity? Yes, it's one game. Have we seen his little sloppiness with the ball going back to the bubble? Of course. Listen, he was a rookie last season. But this season now, you have to see what you have in it. I'm not saying as well, like, what if he's trade bait? I'm not saying he's going to get traded. Don't quote me wrong. But you also want to see a little bit more out of him than the stuff that you already did coming out of, out of there. So, of course, I want to see Dragic starting, because when you only commit one turnover in the last game, that gets you excited. But it's like, wait a minute, this player is not 20-something years old anymore. He's coming off an Achilles injury. It gets more promising. Plus, there's 71 more games. So it's not like we're in the bubble for 10 games and here come the playoffs, right? So those are also things that they have to take in mind going forward with it.
Yeah,
right. I think there's one other thing that we also need to keep in mind. Compared to last year, teams are actually game planning for guys like Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn, because for the first season, or for last season, they were surprises. We didn't know what to, most teams didn't know what to expect of them. They were, in many ways, they were like the 1994 Chicago Bulls. No one really knew how they were going to come out and play after MJ retired. But come 94-95, once Horace Grant signs with the Magic, and all of a sudden they're a little bit weaker and a little less confident in themselves. Now you all of a sudden have a team that's looking for its identity, because teams now aren't afraid of what to expect from guys like BJ Armstrong or, Kendrick Nunn or, Pete Myers or players like that. So I think now that presents a unique challenge in and of itself, because not only do you have to improve from year to year, you also have to get ready for the fact that maybe, okay, these guys are going to be zeroing in on me a lot more. And then that could have contributed to some of the turnover problems last game.
Right. Okay, let's keep going to the next one. Cesar is asking us, can Precious and Bam play together? You guys mentioned it a little bit before, but can it be an option during the game at some point today? Brady, what do you think?
No, it could definitely be an option. I just feel like that's the way they were kind of going, just to give Bam a break. They would insert him in. But that's the thing everybody's waiting for, because they're both very similar. They both have such, that's going to be a, defensive issue for other teams with putting a guy like Butler, Precious, and Bam in the front court. And I feel like that's something they're going to end up going to. It was Precious's first game. They were just trying to get an idea of what he can do when he's on the floor as the sole, big man. But we're going to see that more and more. And I think it's going to be a pretty good, duo, because I think they can work well off each other. Bam can still work the way he does as the playmaker at the free throw line, and Precious likes to be under that rim, trying to work for offensive rebounds and battle down low. So I think it's something that a lot of people should be looking for.
Right. Okay. Our friend Clarence Jean Louis. I hope I'm trying with my French here. Louis. Clarence Jean Louis says, "Does Spo trust KZ? Feels like behind the scenes are a thing we might not know." Yeah, we feel like the Miami Heat believes a lot in KC, right? Of course, in social media, he has all this aura going on around him, and that's also not helpful when things don't go his way. So let's keep going here.
Guys, we have the Heat starting lineup.
What is it,
Oh,
man?
we do.
We got Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Bam, and our man Brady is Jesus, my friends. Myers Leonard.
My Jesus.
Max Strus and Gabe Vincent are the only two inactive.
Okay.
Okay.
So say it again, Manny. What's the starting lineup for
Tyler
today?
Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, Bam, and Leonard.
Who do you guys think is the first player off the bench?
Go on.
Dragic.
Go on, that's what I was thinking too.
Dragic, Precious, KD.
I think it might depend on what Zion does. If he comes out just violent, then we could see bigs, because if Zion gets going, the other guys get going, and then as a result, people start to forget about some of the wings that they have. And not only that, you still have Brandon Ingram, who I think averaged more than 20 points a game last season.
And he went off last game too.
Yeah, it's crazy how he is technically, statistically, if I'm not mistaken, the best player on that team, but we're all worried about Zion. That should tell you something about where this team could potentially be headed. So, yeah, I think it depends on what Zion chooses to do.
Right.
And on top of that, they have a good backup center in Jackson Hayes, who's super athletic, and that's who somebody will need to match as well. So Precious will be good in matching up with him, keeping high energy with him as well.
We have our friend here saying, "Merry Stream Mass." Thank you. Merry Christmas for you too. Is Jimmy playing? Yes, Jimmy is playing today. Best pregame show yet. Thank you, Christopher. We're trying to get better and better, and we're closer to the 10,000 subscribers. So please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Give your comments. Leave your comments here. Give a thumbs up to all our videos. That helps us helps the team to keep growing, and of course, making more money. And if we make more money, we're going to be here longer and longer. So please, guys, help us here.
Do you think Avery Bradley makes an appearance today?
Just
Avery
goes
Bradley.
down. Yeah, it just comes down to his shape behind the scenes. That's just something we don't know. There was no reason for him not to play other than something like that.
Right.
Today will be the tell. If he doesn't play today, then we'll know there's something else. And if he does play, then it was just something personal, probably something going on, something like that. But I think he could be utilized well with this team, and especially in a game like this. I think they need defensive guards. Obviously, that's why they got him. So once they implement him in, much like Mo, it's going to take some time for them to get worked in. And once they do, I think it's going to be halfway through the season. It should be pretty good for them.
So you think this change in the starting lineup is it just because of the New Orleans Pelicans, or is it just a change going forward?
Yeah, it's just this game. They're gonna keep changing the starting lineup probably a bunch. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like KZ even ends up in the starting lineup by midway through the season for Mo Harkless. That's just gonna keep changing. But in a matchup like this, like I was mentioning, it's just there's no way you're going to put Bam on Adams and put Mo back on Zion. And Kelly Olynyk, that's not the guy you go to and to kind of defensively to bang around with a guy like Adams. So Myers just seems like he's going to go from not playing one game to starting the next. That's the way this Miami Heat team's going to be. Depth, everything's going to be constantly switching, and that's going to be their advantage this year.
Yeah, we have a lot of plug-and-play guys, and it's so nice that we have so many pieces that are just able to come in and just do little roles, like an Andre Iguodala, like come in, lock down the best wing on the team, and like Avery Bradley, come in, guard the best guard. And I think it's really cool that Spo has all these tools that he's able to come in and use. And it sucks that we don't see some of these guys. Like we didn't see KZ last game. Obviously Bradley might have had the conditioning, but it's also good because we have such depth that these guys are still in the background waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah, listen, I think the one thing for me that just drove me nuts, guys, last game was seeing Andre Iguodala just being the one man in the corner trying to make threes. And in my mind, I pictured that being KC. So that's because we saw what he did against Toronto. And, it's about time. Listen, he's not a rookie anymore. He went through his struggles last season. We need to know what he has already. And Spo just needs to just give him that opportunity, right? Because we don't know what's there if he's not out there on the floor. Yes, we're not there doing practice. We don't know what gets said behind the scenes. But as fans, I think we have a right to know how he is on the floor. And if in the first 2-3 minutes he just looks absolutely hectic and crazy, I understand. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But I don't want to see Andre Iguodala getting 10-plus minutes a night if we have guys that are fresh that can come in there at least for us to see what they have. So that's what I think.
I think that Andre Iguodala is going to be utilized more and more throughout the season because, like I mentioned, Precious reiterating the things that Bam does. Iguodala reiterates the things that Butler does. And they're going to need a guy that's going to kind of initiate offense, kind of control the offense, especially in a game with Hero running the point and there was turnover issues. Iguodala is going to need to take control. Obviously, Goran's the guy that they look to do that. But at times, he's getting older that they're going to have to utilize the other guys, and Iguodala is one of them. I don't love so like you mentioned, some of the shot attempts that were going up, but I think Iguodala can bring some of the things that they need just when Butler exits the floor.
Yeah, I think when you look at the fact that we do have a couple veterans like UD, Iggy, Goran, I don't think we're going to see, at least I hope we don't rely too heavily on them to start the season, because as I think it was Jonathan that mentioned this, we are a playoff team built or focused on making deep runs now. We're not just happy with making it to the first round and getting out. I mean, we've got a brand new Eastern Conference Championship banner hanging at the arena now, So I think guys like Iggy, later on in the season, I think we'll start to rely on them more to get them more in the swing of things heading into the playoffs. But I wouldn't surprise me at all if Spo were to throw KZ out there, because when Spo threw out Precious just like out of the blue, he came in there, he performed, and he got more minutes. Like this isn't like Pat Riley or Larry Brown back in the day where they hate to play rookies. They're gonna throw you out there, and if you can produce, look at what happened when Spo gave Whiteside a chance 5 years ago. He did really well against the Bulls, and then, the rest was history after that. But when basically this team is, if you work hard, if you put the work in, and you take advantage of your opportunities, they're gonna keep going to you. I don't remember a situation in which this coaching staff was disingenuous about the minutes they were giving certain players. If you produce, look, they've got Shane Battier running analytics upstairs, right? So we're not just going to throw a guy out there once. He does really well, becomes a fan favorite like Luther Head back in like 2001, and then never see the court again. So I think, I could very well see someone like KZ, and who knows, maybe even that. Oh man, what's the point guard that's inactive right now? Who knows? Maybe if Gabe Vincent, right? Who knows? Maybe if one day he gets an opportunity because someone, God forbid, is injured and he does really well, we might very well have that point guard we were looking for. Stranger things have happened in a regular season.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Gabe Vincent won Most Improved Player in the G League last year. You know what I mean? So he has the ability to take his game to the next level. So he's somebody that we can come in, and if we ship none out, Gabe Vincent can take that role. And Ricky, adding on to what you were saying, like you said about saving the vets for later, we saw this in the Big Three era when we'd see Mike Miller in the playoffs, and we'd barely ever see him in the regular season.
Well, that's because he was always hurt.
Well, that too. You know what I mean? But we'd save these veterans, like Shane Battier was a really mainstay where Spo has a couple of guys that he trusts really, really much to make no mistakes on the offensive end. You know that you put the ball in their hands and that you're safe. With Tyler Hero, and even a little bit with Bam, there's a little bit of mistake and a little bit of variability as far as the offense goes. But with somebody like Goran and somebody with like Iggy, that you know how stable you are in the offense. So I think those guys are going to be key to deep playoff runs if we go again this year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an interesting question. You think the Pelicans hunt more one-on-one matchups since there'll be less switching with Duncan, Hero, and Leonard out there today? What do you guys think?
That's a Brady question.
What is that? Do you think it'll be less switching?
Yes.
I think
more matchup hunting, less switching because of Duncan,
more
Hero,
one-on-one, less switching.
I don't know because I think they can because they're running the 2 point guard lineups now with Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball. And Lonzo Ball's still going to run the point and run the passing, be the passing guy. But Eric Bledsoe, especially against Miami, he's always been a guy that loves to attack. Even thinking back, he always attacked Miami's guards. So I think we're going to see a lot of that early. But that's what's so interesting about this Pelicans starting lineup is that, you have guys like Zion and Adams down there. Not that they're clogging it up, but it's just, the spacing is kind of, interesting. So with a guy like Bledsoe out there at the 2, that he's just not a straight shooter. He's just a guy that attacks. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of, you may see a guy like Duncan Robinson getting foul trouble early because Eric Bledsoe keeps attacking the paint. So I think that's something that could very well happen.
Well, Bledsoe's on the Bucks. Go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, if I see a lineup with Hero, Leonard, and Duncan Robinson, my goodness, I am moving the ball around like crazy. Myers Leonard, as Thor-like as he is, he's not exactly the quickest guy in terms of foot speed. Yeah, he's not exactly the quickest guy. I would want to exploit that from here to Kingdom Come. But hey, you know what? Let me not give the Pelicans ideas because I'm sure they're watching this feed like everybody else in South Florida is.
Listen, I think the most important thing for me is that to realize that we play the Bucks next, right, in back-to-back days. I mean, I want to have Bam as fresh as possible. I don't want him to be down there battling by himself. If there's any opportunities ever for other guys to come off the bench that are not point guards, right, that could get some minutes and try to see if they could contribute, this game is it, okay? Because, man, the matchups that they got to go through now, if I think I saw the schedule correct, what was it? It's 2 against the Bucks. Then you get what? I think it was
Celtics or 76ers.
Yeah, we've got playoff teams pretty much.
Yeah, we got a gauntlet.
Yeah, you got playoff teams going out from here on out, at least for the first 10 games or so. So I think today, this game will be a perfect opportunity for other guys to get out there and to see what they can contribute. That way, Spo has a clearer, more thought on how to do it going forward. Because man, when you go through that gauntlet right now in the first, the next 8 games after today, whew, ouch.
Yeah.
Real quick, I got to head out, but I'll let you guys close this up. So I'm just letting you know.
No, Brady, before you go, score for today.
Score? Oh, man. That's putting me on the spot. Well, I'll just say I think the Heat win. I don't know the exact score, but I'll say they win. I'll say they win by 6.
Okay.
With a big, I think it's a big Bam game, and I think he outshines Zion because, they want Zion to be the guy that, they can talk about all week on ESPN. But I think, like the skills challenge I kind of mentioned is, Bam kind of showing the national, media who he really is. I think he's going to show that again today on the national stage. So I'll let you guys go.
All right. Thank you. Enjoy your day. So it's the final 4 here. Ricky, how do you think today's game is going to go?
Oof. Well, I got to be honest, guys.
Please.
Hey, look. Honestly, I see the Pelicans winning. I really do. They look like they have a bit too much for us to handle at this moment. We are still putting pieces together. They have, I think, a little bit more continuity. And I know this is kind of wild that I'm saying this, especially considering most of our players came back this season. It just looks like it's going to be the opposite of the Christmas Day game. Yeah, that's me, right? I think it's going to be the opposite of the Christmas Day game from a couple years back. But I would love to be proven wrong. I love being proven wrong.
Look at this. This is for you, Ricky. Bring this Ricky guy back more for more shirts. Yes.
Yeah, I paid him. I paid him. Yeah.
Well, he's doing the job. So
yeah. I owe him $50 now. Jeez. All right.
Jonathan, how do you think it's going to go today?
I mean, if you're asking my head, I'd have to go with Ricky because I don't know how he'll handle his size. And on top of that, this team kind of reminds me of the Lakers team where they're really big. And then you have, Brandon Ingram obviously is a little bit of a better shooter than Braun. But Braun against us in the finals last year was hitting everything anyways. So he was like, you have that. And then you have two guards that aren't the main focal points of the offense. Of course, Lonzo Ball is going to be the one facilitating everything, but he's not going to be doing the main bulk of the scoring. I do think if we're able to outshoot them, we had a really good first quarter shooting last game. We kind of fell off from there. If we're able to outshoot them and do a little bit better, I say if we hit 18 threes or up, we win this game. If we shoot below 35% from three, there's no way we win this game. I do think the rebounding, I think we're going to struggle to get rebounds, but I think it'll be closer than what it was in the preseason game because I think Coach Spo will probably be yelling on these guys for everybody to crash the boards anyways. Hey, man, it's Christmas. I'm going to say we take the win. I'm going to say we're going to splash down some threes. We're going to get this dub. I think I'm not sure who said it, that Bam is going to want to outshine for the national media, especially that he got that new contract. It's Christmas Day. I'm sure he wants to make his mom proud. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to have a good game, and we're going to have a lot of threes. Say we hit 18 threes tonight.
Okay, Manny, what do you think?
My heart wants to go Heat, but my head says the Pelicans. And I think everything that Ricky actually pointed out right away, I think it makes sense, man. It's just the way that this team is coming off. I mean, you look at their performance against, well, I almost said Toronto, but I really do want to call it that. Jesus, man. And then you look at them facing the Heat today. The one thing that the Magic knew is that they can go out the Heat guards. They can drive them the whole damn game. There was no defensive perimeter ever going to happen, right? So that worries me some. And then you put that together with what they could do inside. Unless, listen, the only way that I see them winning is that they could keep the Pelicans off the boards with second chance points, which is, once again, one of the things that killed us last game. And listen, we need more rebounds than just three from a specific player. If he gets in there, that's all I'm going to say. Go Heat.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
yeah, Harkless right there.
What you guys said, it's very important. They do have a couple of games coming up against the Bucks. So I'm not gonna call this a must-win game, but it's very important to at least get a win before you go and play the Bucks a couple of times.
I think we'll see Precious get a double today.
Well, hopefully.
Likely, yeah.
If the Heat had this guy,
look at what
nobody can drive.
Look at what Royal has to say to all of you.
Royal, you're the traitor. Where are you?
Well, I said we're winning. What are you talking about? I called the win. I went with my heart instead of my head, and I said that we were going to win. So
right. So, well, thank you guys for joining us. This was our pregame show. This is some of the comments here. Angel, thank you. Ricky, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Manny.
We'll have a post-game show.
We will have a post-game show here. The guys are going to pod right after the game as well. Ethan, as you guys saw, is at the arena at this point, so he might be.
And that's another thing, right? We have to see what's the outcome, see if the curse is still there, because, man, you have good luck when he was in the bubble.
Yeah, hopefully we can reverse that thing going on. So here in Duncan, let me see, should have good games today. I'll be back next game to bring the guys back to the show. Thank you, Royal. The guts, not the guys, the guts. All right, yes, and we need Greg back too. Let's go Heat. Junior Altamirano, thank you guys. Mo better not play today. They got a trade mode for cash.
Yeah, more rebounds than fouls, please.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case today. So thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna leave you with the starting lineup for today for all of you that couldn't hear what Manny had to say. So it's Hero, Butler, right, Robinson, Leonard, and Adebayo. I don't know who's doing the designs this year, but they're not as good looking as last year, right?
They look like the crowd heads, the ones from that you'll have in the crowds.
Yeah, the cutouts, right?
Yeah.
So this is the starting lineup. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our channel, to give it a thumbs up, leave your comments down here, and make sure you tune in for the post-game show that's going to be produced by our man Manny over here, right here, our friend Manny. He's going to be running that thing. So thank you guys for joining us, and let's go Heat and enjoy the game. Merry Christmas. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.